all fixed. It was really badly rusted back in here. It was rusted behind here. So let's see how I made that. Okay, I got my first template here. That panel right there. And let's see if I can make that little panel out of this. There. There's oh. Okay. Alternate green and red. This off before I stab myself. Now, flatten the ends down. Aha. So I got that clamped down, and I'm gonna heat this up a little bit, and I'm gonna pound that down flat. Just like that. That should work. Okay, see what I got there? So now I'll do the same thing to this end. I need some more tape on my gloves. I got a hole right there too. And there. And there. Now, that might be easier to do it from the inside. A break, something. Right there. Awesome. Now what I'm going to do, take this old out. See what's behind here. Heat up those bolts. Hopefully that'll be enough to get those loose. Okay, this came out. So what I'm gonna do now is make a panel. I'm not gonna cut none of this out. I'm going to use all of this as a template to create a panel. These represents a piece of metal I need to cut. So I have all my pieces here cut out and shaped, basically from using this one as an example. You lay this flat on a piece of metal, you cut out your blank, and then use this as a template for the rough curve and the bend, and you apply that to this, and you may have to go to the original like so, and it roughly fits pretty well, and that's it. And then you move on to your next puzzle piece. And now comes the real fun part, to piece this together. So here you can see my next step. I've got these taped in place. Right now everything's kind of rough cut. So now I need to do some finish cutting and trimming, and then tack these pieces together and form one complete panel. I want to make sure this new panel fits nice and snug on top of here. Next step, put the pieces together. First piece of the puzzle welded together on both sides. Okay, here's the next piece. There. We'll grind all that down and go on to the next. Okay, so I've got that piece tacked in right there. Give it some taps here and do a little trimming. Here's what that looks like before I weld it. Ready to weld. Here is the next piece welded in place. Okay, so now do a little grindy and pounding on the edges and get that back piece in. Here I've got the next piece taped down and marked so I know where to cut to fit it. So that is what is next. Here it is tacked up. Ready for me to weld. Let's get to it. Got this one tacked. Here's where she goes. Now the reason why I didn't replace this piece, it went up and around like I did here, is because I want to retain this original part there. This here means that there's a break here, right there. I have no problem replacing that part. And then this piece gets welded on top after everything's done. Here's my finished panel. There she is. Fits in here pretty good. That's how it's done. I may cut some of this out. Let's see what's under here. Got a lot of goo. Things always change when you fix this stuff. This has a hole in it. This panel goes all the way up here, stitches all the way back up in there, all the way up there. And looks like it's not welded too good here. So how do I fix that? I could weld in a new piece. I have to do that before I fix all this, because I need access to that. Before I do anything else, I'm going to cut out some more of this, that I can see what's in here a little further. Okay, this is what it looks like in here. So with this out, and I can see in here a little better, and my panel fits over nicely. Now what do I fix next? Basically, that's what you need to do, is determine what do I fix next, because what you fix next may have some sort of consequence on your next thing to fix. It all needs to be fixed. It's just the matter of what do I fix next is the question. So right now, this is next. Here's this panel. And this line and dot, that represents, I did one stretch right there. So now I can scribe that and I could cut that out. But I think I'm going to wait to weld this one in. I gotta fix that. It's all rusty. So I'm gonna make a panel. I might want to get this floor in here too before I put this piece in. This is what I have so far. I made a new panel for this. It only goes up to here. It's clamped right there. I've got the floor clamped in. So when you have a project like this, you just can't fix one thing and then move on to the next thing. They're all kind of linked together. And as you dive farther into your project, you find more rust. So this is pretty rusty under here. Behind this, it's pretty rusty. So I ordered a new one of these. I did not want to take this off. It's challenging sometimes. But what helps is clamp things together, see how things are fitting before you start welding stuff together. So here's my little piece that I cut to replace the piece that was here. This here needs to be welded. That was not even attached. Decisions. If this were welded in, I can get this floor welded in. I can get this gap fixed. I can get this piece welded in. And then if I don't have this part in yet, I can work myself this way and start fixing this hole. This and this are gonna have to be put together as one. When I take this off, I can take this off. So when I do take this off, I should be getting ready to put that back on. And before I put this new rocker on, I've got to have, I have to have this fixed, and I need all of this fixed through here. What this contraption is I've got a pin right there where the fender bolt would go through. I've got this piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this piece to here, back here, and behind here I'm going to weld that nut to this. I'm going to weld the threads to the nut and get this all nice and locked up so I can unclamp it. And then that will be my guide to put this new piece in. If I don't have something like this, so I know where that hole needs to be, it would be off, because as soon as I start cutting, things move. I've got this clamp here because I cut this here off, and after I cut that off, this whole rocker moved this way a little bit. Everything moves as soon as you start cutting stuff off. This clamp is holding it there where it would be a weld, and this clamp is holding it. You gotta weld on parts of your car so that things don't move.
And get this plate right here welded in. Then after that, I can get this floor put in. Then after that, I'm going to put this little panel in and fix this gap right there. After that, I'm going to check out this spot. After that, I'm going to move down and I'm going to work on that spot.
It may change once I get rolling here, but right now, this is my next step. This is why you want to try and clamp any possible panel in for placement, for fit, before you start welding anything, because putting this here can affect something elsewhere. For example, this inner rocker panel. If I were to just thinking, oh, this kind of fits, this here, my patch panel fits, and I'll weld that in. But once I put this panel in, it's low, so this has to be pushed up some so I can get this panel where it needs to be. All of this, that, floor, this, it all affects each other. So if one thing is out of whack, out of adjustment, it's going to affect something else. I'm gonna get my holes ready. I got it marked out where each hole goes. I gotta get that done, because once I have it in a good spot, then I don't wanna move it. But if you don't get your holes in place, you gotta take it out and get your holes punched in to weld. I still have to weld my little fix-it plate, the little shiny one that's sandwiched in between there. Then I don't need this clamp. Get rid of it. And this one is just holding that all together. I'm welded in my patch panel here, and what I like to do is when I'm welding, I'll go and grind all my welds down before I lay new welds. And I usually will go from here to what I need to weld into. And then I'll go here to there, and then here to there, and then I'll grind it flat and continue. Welded in. That part's finished. I left this little spot. The spot here is not welded yet. And the reason for that, in case I need to tweak this up or down the floor, if I got that welded in, it makes it pretty hard to move this. So that's for later. Floor is clamped in and tacked in one spot. Got it screwed in place. This is ready to weld in. I'm working my way over, and my next spot is this spot here. This brace here, I cut part of it off so I can get in here. Yet another rough clamp in. This is just held on by a magnet. I gotta weld that piece in yet. Got this clamped up. I got this welded in place. The rocker's loose still. It's looking good. Just got it clamped there. Overall, my test fit is looking pretty good. Can we get a different view here? Looking pretty good. Now before I go all hog wild and just weld this together, I still have to fix that little hole right there with the panel that I made. I want to get this floor welded in, and I want to put that brace underneath there, get all this side done. Then I'll come back to this and screw it where I think I want it. And just make sure that's where it's gonna go. I might do some measurements, compare this door to the other door from this gap, and measure from here to up there, you know, just double, triple check. Probably get this welded in before I weld this in. So, it's looking good. All right. Sure hope that side is much easier, but I got the same amount of work. I got to put in a new rocker. I got a hole in that corner, and I'm hoping the structure underneath here, I hope I don't have to tear apart like I did here. I think that side is good. I'm hoping. But if not, I'll find out and I'll fix it as I go. So this side, oh, and after I get this screwed in, I probably want to just roughly put this in place and see how it's going to fit before I commit to welding this in. Then I want to weld that in. Then I might go onto this side and get this done, or I might just wait and work on the other side. I gotta get this brace on yet, and another brace here, and then this brace. So I'll probably do all that before I work on that other side. Yeah. It's not a complete science. It's pick what needs to be fixed and try not to alter something down the road.